Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, Sasha Banks and Naomi leave Raw in the middle of Raw. Ric Flair decides he's going to have another retirement match. Stephanie McMahon, breaking news, Stephanie McMahon is taking a leave of absence from WWE. AEW is leading towards their Double or Nothing show. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
Them chicks dipped. Fuck this shit, Vince. We out.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I am Bill Vega, your host, a.k.a. Okay, so I watched 2 Godfathers this week. So I have 3 AKAs because I haven't been able to get a hold of Bo. All right? They're all Godfather related.
Okay.
AKA Marlon Hando. AKA Diane Heaton. Hold on. Here's follow me on this one. AKA Al Pacino. It's like I want to have Al Pacino and Al Snow, right. And then I want to say, instead of it, like, I want the movie poster for Heat, but it just says Head instead.
God damn it, I want that so bad.
It's sitting to my left. I just killed him.
Yeah, right.
We have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
So is De Niro holding Head in this poster? So I mean, because I want to.
I'd have to take a look at the poster. I don't know. Val Kilmer is Road Dogg.
Oh, we all flowing on running foot to today, boy. On that level, we know I'll need to ask the congregation about our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 257, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good Spark says, hashtag boo the heels, it's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the Holy Trinity of BFR, 3 from the Magic 260, 5 years, baby, 5 fucking years. Wrap your head around that shit.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have 2 Beer. Zach Pullman, what's going on, 2 Beer?
BFR West in the house.
Oh, man, it's so amazing to be celebrating those 5 years. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm walking in the rain right now because I'm just walking from the pub because I've been day drinking. Surprise. But, yeah, like, it's a beautiful day, but it's rainy, and I'm fine with that. Like, we need the rain out here in the Pacific Northwest, like, fight those wildfires might be happening in the summer.
Oh, man, yeah. That.
I'll totally forget about that shit.
Now, hold on a second. Is it our 5-year anniversary, or you're saying 260 is going to be our 5-year anniversary?
260.
Our 5-year anniversary was like 2 weeks ago because on my Facebook, we had our first episode like 2 weeks ago on my Facebook.
Oh, wow.
At Chalk City, yeah.
So, but you're saying 260 will be 5 years of 52 episodes. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Wrap your head around that shit.
We are coming at you from stormy St. Charles, Missouri, man. That swept in. There was no rain on the radar or no rain on the forecast. And then it just...
I won't say that. When I went to work this afternoon, around 11:30, it started to get dark, and I looked outside. I'm like, ooh, this shit's starting to get a little
I tell you
suspect.
What, Aaron's been gone since 3 o'clock, so it's been me and the baby. I made dinner for me and the baby. I made some fish and some veggies. You know, she's getting into solid foods and stuff in between her formula. And I sat her down, and we were watching the best of the Super Juniors, and she was sitting in her high chair, and she was just gnawing down, and she has oranges, and she's just a fucking mess, you know, and I'm looking at her, and then the tornado sirens go off, and I'm like, I'm not getting this baby out of this high chair to go downstairs. Like, we're riding this motherfucker out. Like,
that is some classic Midwest shit. Like, yeah,
this ain't no real deal.
Me and Reba like walk on the porch. I'm like, I don't see a tornado.
Even if you did, 30 seconds. Like, I'm gonna pull out my camera until this thing actually is gonna tear down my house.
Yeah, that's going a couple blocks over.
We're good.
I'm good. I'm not cleaning up this baby and taking her downstairs. Fuck that.
That's the ultimate thing. That's what you should be ashamed as a father. Clean that baby up and take my niece downstairs.
I would have been ashamed if we would have died in
her face all jacked
only
up.
Taken down the non-God-fearing people. It's only taken out the heathens. Like, you're good.
Oh, shit. No wonder it was the tornado warning downtown St. Louis City. Shit, I was looking outside like, oh, this might be a little ugly. Heathen shit. I'm surprised it didn't take out the block.
But, man,
you're a good Duchenne boy. And,
I am.
Yeah, so you're protected. There's an archangel over your home right now.
St. Philippine Duchenne, pray for us. That's what we used to say before every game.
Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ, Lord!
It was a newsworthy week of wrestling, not necessarily in ring, but there's a lot of out of ring stuff that we're going to clown on. In ring was kind of stagnant. AEW had a good show.
Outside of Dynamite, it was stagnant, but yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into it. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Let's start with something that's out of ring. One of the biggest stories of the week happened on Monday night. I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and I wasn't really watching it per se. I was watching Stardom, and I had Raw in the background. But anyway, another story for another time. But I happened to hear that Corey Graves says that Sasha and Naomi have left the building. This is after they announced the six-pack challenge with Naomi and Sasha being in said six-pack challenge with Doudrop, a.k.a. Piper Niven, Nikki A.S.H., and then obviously Asuka and Becky Lynch rounding out the six-pack challenge. Now, how do we get there? It's been multiple stories that I've seen online. Bruce Pritchard saying apparently racist comments as in, this is why these people shouldn't have the titles.
Bruce Pritchard racist?
Yeah, I know. It's a stretch. I've heard that
he's an actual, he's a brother.
Yeah, a brother of love. Motherfucker. I've heard that Sasha had problems with how the finish was going to happen. One finish had Naomi beating Sasha, which doesn't make sense. I agree with Sasha on that if that was a beef. The other finish that I saw was having Nikki ASH winning the six-pack challenge, which feels like something WWE would do because it's out of the clear blue. It doesn't even make sense. Ultimately, I guess what we're going with is our takes on this. My personal take is I don't have a problem with Sasha, standing up for herself if that is the case where she would have to take, especially if she had to take the loss to Naomi. That doesn't even make goddamn sense. How you going to have the tag team champs in a six-pack challenge and then have one tag team champ pin the other tag team champ? You might as well just break them up at that point. I mean, how can you move along with having tag team champions in that kind of a turmoil?
It's at this point of the podcast that I want to reiterate that we are not journalists. We're podcasters. This is all speculation and all shit that we've heard the same as you. You're just tuning in for, Zach's cum jokes probably, but go ahead, Jason. Yeah.
I guess my problem with this is the timing of it. If you're going to say anything that's wrong, the timing of it is bad. Now, if you wanted to make a stand, draw the line in the sand, as Evolution's interest music would say, then yeah, this might be the time to do it. The timing was obviously bad. You left them in a bad spot. They fast forward to Sasha and Becky Lynch, which in my opinion should have just been the match to begin with.
Asuka
and Becky Lynch. That should have been the match, in my opinion, to begin with. I don't know why you're bringing other women in to fuck around and make this harder than what it is. Those are the two chicks that should be wrestling for the number one spot to wrestle Bianca Belair. There shouldn't even be an argument about anybody else. There is no one else on that Raw roster. Maybe if you bring somebody from SmackDown.
Well,
but there's nobody on that Raw roster outside of Asuka and Becky Lynch.
The most recent thing I heard is that Naomi was going to pin Sasha, and then Sasha was going to answer Ronda Rousey's open challenge on SmackDown, and then they were both going to job at the next pay-per-view, which is
Hell in a Cell.
And
then I heard that they weren't going to have a plan for them
until Money in the Bank. Okay, Zach, your thoughts?
My thoughts is if you are tag team champions and you are, say, as Sasha and Naomi going to face Ronda Rousey in a handicap match or Becky Lynch in a handicap match, and they're going to pin both of you, yeah, that's something to fight about. If you are going to be elevated to the point where you're contending for singles titles separately on a pay-per-view, I don't know what the beef is. Like, there's probably more to it. I would like to hear their side of it, because I'm all for employees standing up to their employers. Like, if they say that you can't jerk off on your 15-minute break, I mean, just tell me, like, what says that I can't do that. I got 15 minutes off. Like, it only takes me a few minutes to finish.
I work from home, man.
That with it, yeah, exactly.
I don't even have to be on break.
This is where I wish I had video, because like literally I'm listening to you and my head is down, just shaking my head. This motherfucker chimes over here talking about
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm dedicated to our clients.
15 minutes. But here's the thing. Basically, it is interesting. I want to hear more about it. But if you guys are going to be the singles competitors to the singles champions, it's fine to job out to those champions singly. Now, we see WWE job tag teams to singles competitors. We've seen that a lot of times.
In handicap matches.
Handicap matches, yeah. Now, I would have a problem with that. But the tag team championships, especially the women's, even the men's, like, they don't mean anything. So if they're going to, I feel like if you're going to be putting them in spots to be the singles competitors, they're actually elevating you at that point. So I don't know the beef. I apparently, Sasha started unfollowing people on Saturday, so there might be something more than what we've heard. But it is difficult to ascertain the dynamics of this. But like I said, I'm all for workers standing up for their rights, especially in a company where workers are not given their proper fair share of rights. But so far from what I've seen, this is not that point. But it is interesting from a PR perspective that WWE decided to put out a statement and say to control their narrative, so to speak. So this is still intriguing. We're not at a point where we can ascertain or say much of anything, except that it is incredibly intriguing, and I am anxious to hear more.
Yeah, we'll hear the whole story someday. Or I mean, as soon as somebody gets on a podcast with Colt Cabana or Stone Cold Steve Austin or something, we're not going to hear the story now. Like I said, this is all speculation. There's lots of different. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure that you've absorbed and heard probably every single take that can be taken on this. Mm-hmm. The one that I haven't heard is that, well, I mean, I've heard shades of it, but they're like, oh, you're not respecting us as tag team champs. It's like,
that's the one I've heard too.
What company have you been working for? Yeah, they don't respect tag team champs. And the women's tag team
is 30 years.
Is only 3 years old. Or something like that, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I was going to say WrestleMania feels like when Bayley and Sasha became champs, but go ahead.
That's not really the point. The point is that they didn't like creative. Something else happened, obviously. There was something. I don't know if it was racial. I know that those two women, as two black women, probably absorb a lot more vitriol. If you've ever been on wrestling Twitter, and I know that I've been harping on this I know I harp on wrestling Twitter a lot, but if you've ever been on wrestling Twitter, there's a lot of, there's a lot of accounts with no faces and lots of numbers in their handles that say some pretty terrible shit on Twitter. So I respect these two workers, these two employees who are basically independent contractors. I don't want to hear anything about unprofessionalism when you talk about Vince McMahon. I just don't want to hear it. It doesn't mean anything to me. This reminds me of when, and Zach, I'm sorry to leave you out of this conversation, but this reminds me of long ago when Terrell Owens sat out for the Eagles and Drew Rosenhaus was his agent, and he was like, I'm sitting out for more money. And everybody took the owner's side. And the thing was is that Terrell Owens, if his knee got busted in week 4 of the NFL season, the Eagles could just drop him, and he would only make the money that was guaranteed to him. So the guy was asking for more guaranteed money as a guy who brings in a bunch of money. You could make arguments that that these very highly compensated professional athletes still don't make enough money considering how much money they bring in for so many people. So when you're talking about talent,
100%. And it's not only wrestling, it's UFC, it's baseball, it's basketball.
Oh yeah,
like
everything,
all of it.
Yes,
like people talk about overpaid talent, but like that's just jealousy. And like they bring in so much money. That is them bringing in the money. And they deserve more money. We've
been conditioned by ESPN and by our boomer generation parents. I mean, maybe some of you people have Gen X parents. I don't. But we've been conditioned by these people to take management's side because we're like, look at these babies. They're making millions of dollars and they're still sitting out. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, but this guy's making billions of dollars. So that being said, I wanted to be known that I take the side of the workers. All that said,
I'm a full-blown communist. I'm always beside the workers.
This doesn't sound like this doesn't sound like the straw that broke the camel's back, which makes me think that there's a lot more of the story. The other thing that I'd like to say is that standing up to Vince McMahon is basically the best thing that you can do in the eyes of Vince McMahon if you are a talent like Sasha Banks especially. Naomi, all respect to her, she is not the draw that Sasha Banks is. Sasha Banks draws money. Bottom line. You can tell when you're at the event, you can see all the Sasha Banks shirts on the tables that they're selling. You can see the Sasha Banks shirts that young girls are wearing as they walk around the venue.
Shit, I'm a Sasha Banks fan.
Yes, me too. Of course. I'm just saying she draws money. I would still watch it without Sasha Banks, but Sasha Banks draws money.
Without question.
So, if she stands up to Vince McMahon and she doesn't ultimately leave, then I mean, look at Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, by his own admission on the Stone Cold podcast, said, I left and it wasn't very professional the way that I left. Now look at Cody Rhodes. Now at the bottom of Raw last week, they have the countdown to Cody. So, I mean, and they paid him the big bucks. So, good on them. If that's their way of grabbing the brass ring, then that's their way of grabbing the brass ring, Jason.
Wow. It's a lot of unpack, and I'll just look at it from, I guess, Tubular said something about tag team champions in singles matches being elevated. Normally, I would agree with that, but in this scenario, there's only one person of the tag team champions that needs to be elevated, and that's Naomi. Sasha Banks is basically there, okay? When we talk about the roster of WWE main roster, in no particular order, Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, Sasha, Ronda Rousey, everybody else.
Bianca's up there.
Bianca, okay. All right, that's fair. There's your 6. And then everybody else starts to fight for what's left from the table of scraps. So let's not sit up here and say that Sasha needed to have this match to be elevated. Naomi probably does, but Sasha doesn't. That's my only problem with that portion of what Tubular said. Outside of that, we're just going to like you said, a lot of this is speculation. We're going to see bits and pieces come out as time progresses. My knee-jerk reaction is Sasha and Naomi didn't like the creative, and then for whatever reason, it changed again, and they still didn't like it. Figuring out we're not going to defend the tag team championships until Money in the Bank. That's, what's this, May, June? I think Money in the Bank is the in-between, and then they have
it's a couple months off.
Okay. You can't have 2 months off if you're going to have elevate the tag team titles. And essentially, that's, I think, the crux of this. They're not in the mix for either title. They're the tag team champs. So let's elevate these titles. Not saying it's ever going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. Okay?
It's not going to happen.
No, I get it.
Also, they're a thrown together tag team. Like them fighting each other. It's not like it's the fucking Road Warriors fighting each. Like it doesn't matter. If Naomi pins Sasha, that elevates Naomi. That's not their problem. Sasha does not mind. I guarantee you.
Then have Naomi in it and Sasha out of it. If that's what you want to do, you can drag somebody else from the back.
Territory.
You can drag Liv Morgan. What the fuck is she doing? She's doing a Bullet Club WWE bullshit. Get your ass in this ring and take a pin. Versus
the only thing.
Go ahead.
The only thing I'm worried. The only thing I would say I'd be worried about Sasha. WWE needs Sasha more than Sasha needs WWE. Yet Naomi is not the same boat. Naomi ain't getting a big contract wherever she goes.
Supposedly her contract is expiring. So maybe she feels like she has nothing to lose.
Yeah. What I'm assuming is they offered her shit in a contract, and she thinks she's worth more than she is.
Yep. I can totally see that. She should be in the bloodline at this point.
Yeah, especially being married to JSU, I imagine that she thinks that she is
Should
worth
she not
more.
be in the bloodline? Okay, you're over here like, oh, no.
No, you kind of stole my point because I was like, if this is a work, and then they brought Naomi and Sasha into the bloodline, now we're talking.
It's not.
Why don't people think about this?
No, everybody's thinking about this. You know people are trying to figure out if this is a work or not.
No, I'm saying why doesn't anybody in WWE figure out that this would be the coolest fucking thing they could do?
Because they don't think like that.
No, because
I didn't think about it until after. Yeah, Vince is 76. Ultimately, I mean, I like talking about it. It is interesting, and it does give us something to talk about. Ultimately, I think this is not that
much
big
to
of a
do
deal.
about nothing.
I think that they're both going to be back on TV sooner rather than later.
Sasha will be. Naomi is the question.
I bet.
I think they both will, just because of the Roman Reigns Jericho thing. I think they'll appease them. However,
I think they need to work this into a storyline.
It would be a great storyline. You would have them both go to the bloodline, but then Naomi turns on Sasha. Then you can have Sasha go back to being a babyface or whatever. If
that's not the case, I want to see Naomi in the G1.
About to say split egg and moon sauce off the top. Like I said, for me, it's much to do about nothing. I don't think anything's going to come out of it. They would be foolish. They being WWE would be foolish to release either or, if not both, because you know where the first place they're going to go.
They're not releasing them.
No. So you're just going to have to figure it out.
Right.
So get in the room, sit in this fucking room, and hash this shit out because you're not leaving.
I bet they're already there. I bet they're already there.
No way.
You don't think they're already there?
No way. If they're talking about taking Sasha and Naomi off of live events until June or July, that's a response from, oh, Sasha, you're unfollowing us? Or we got something for you. We're just going to take you off the road.
I'll tell you what.
They froze her before, and they'll do it
again.
There was, I didn't watch Raw live. I fell asleep, and I wasn't watching it anyway because there's no reason to. I didn't think that was going to get the laugh out of you. But
you rolled your eyes when I said I was watching Stardom with Raw in the background.
No, I was just teasing. But when I read what happened, I was like, okay, I'm going to hop on wrestling Twitter today on a Tuesday, which is not something I do. And,
oh, God.
Man, people there were acting a fool.
Okay.
Dude.
The Sasha
it's not even 24 hours later.
The Sasha stands are maybe the strongest IWC section.
Yeah, they're like Elon Musk fans.
Say, don't fuck with our girl.
Dude, that's a great example because, I have so many friends that are people that I considered my friends, in the past that, act like Elon Musk is, for the people. They're just like, buy Bitcoin. Elon Musk smokes weed. He must be cool.
Yeah,
like,
not so
fucking
much.
biggest fucking idiots I've ever met.
Oh,
There's a bunch of idiots that I don't like to smoke weed.
on non-wrestling Twitter, some shit came out about him today too, but we can talk about that off air. The other thing that I thought was funny was Zack Ryder being like, you know, when Kane threw me off the side of the stage in the wheelchair. By the way, it feels like I was there for that. Was that in St. Louis? I was there for some Kane Zack Ryder shenanigans. But anyway, he was like, I should have gone to Vince McMahon and said he's not respecting me as the internet champion. It's like, dude, and CM Punk said, if you would go back and stand up for yourself now, you should stand up for the workers, which of course is true. But man, Zack Ryder kind of tells on himself there. It's like, if Zack Ryder would have done that, he'd probably be worth more money today.
Yeah, that's the ultimate white guy thing. It's like who's the Patriots quarterback, the big one, Tom Brady. It's like Tom Brady being like, I'm apolitical. It's like, yeah, you have the privilege of being apolitical because every bit of politics just works in your favor. Like, stand for something, you fucking schmuck.
That's right. Anything else we got to say about this?
I got a supermodel wife and I'm multimillionaire. I don't understand why all these people are complaining.
And I got a personality of a 5-gallon bucket.
I'll just say this in closing. Sasha and Naomi aren't going anywhere, but I'll be real interested to see, if Naomi gets a contract renewal, if her contract is truly expiring. I'll be looking for that, number one. If not, then number two, I want to see how Sasha gets booked, because Vince ain't, you know, he don't forgive shit. He Tom Petty like a motherfucker.
I think his biggest thing was that it happened while TV was happening.
Okay. Either way, you crossed the balls.
I mean, it makes him look like a dickhead to the advertisers, which is just like what happens in The Godfather, where the guy wants to get the acting job, and Tom Hagen, Robert Duvall's got to go out there. He's like, he's not going to get that part. It's going to make him a big star. It's just like that.
Here's the only thing I don't understand is why,
about The Godfather.
No, I love The Godfather.
We can talk about it.
Oh, please.
We could do a whole podcast about The Godfather.
Oh, please.
But the only thing I don't understand is if they were going to be put in a situation where they were singles title contenders, why they wouldn't just do the main event and then they're put in a position to where they're contending for the titles and then they decide to walk out, because then at least they have some leverage. Now they're just in a shitty position.
Yeah, it was
they
probably
look like
heat of the moment, probably. I'm sure.
I'm sure it was heat of the moment, but
I bet that was a hard decision for them to make, and I think it takes tons of balls for them to make it.
Okay,
and
I'll give you that part.
I respect the fuck out of that.
I'll give you that part.
That.
Yeah.
It's probably tons of balls to make that decision.
To drop their titles on Johnny Ace's fucking desk.
Okay,
and be like, we're out.
What did you just say? What did we just say? The titles don't mean anything.
That doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything to them, though. Like, they still had to do it. It doesn't mean anything to us sitting here in St. Charles talking about it.
No. I'm talking about WWE. If with Sasha and Naomi dropped those titles on the desk,
still takes balls.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that the significance of it isn't as great as it is as if, let's just say, FTR rolls in and says, fuck the ROH, here's your titles back. You know what I'm saying?
Did you say FTR and then say fuck the ROH because that's FTR?
No.
That would have been really good.
I wish. I was about to say, you're giving me too much credit. We just said that the tag team titles don't mean anything. And now the women's tag team titles definitely don't mean anything. So
oh no, they never have.
It's
and
not
actually,
about.
I think this was Sasha's problem before when she walked out, was with her and Bayley.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was the same thing. Like, they're never going to mean anything. Like, it's just you're like Sisyphus. You're just rolling this boulder up a hill, and you're just struggling, and the boulder's going to be in the same fucking spot.
No shit.
Listen, let this be the last thing that is said on this podcast about this situation.
Until next week.
If the tag team belts don't mean anything, the women's tag team belts, there's only one person to call to come in and save it. That's James Ellsworth. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2.
I don't know how James Ellsworth's going to save the tag titles, but what else?
He did win the first women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Remember?
Okay, but
he's the great. Listen, I say this not trying to be funny. He's the greatest diva that WWE's ever had.
Oh,
I'm gonna go check on my daughter.
2 beer, you're up. What are we talking about? Wait, let me guess. It's AEW, right?
Oh man, what's AEW? What does that mean?
Just say you ain't been gone that long, motherfucker. You know what AEW means. Let's kick it off.
I gotta pull up a recap here. I did a really bad job taking notes.
I got notes here for you, dog. I was about to say, you know, I got your back.
All right, so we had. Oh yeah, so I got it. Here we go. So.
Professionalism, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck what WWE's talking about. Here's professionalism right here.
Dude, I got, man, like so much going on, and I'm trying to keep up with the wrestling. My oldest daughter, she flew in late Tuesday night from college, so super great having her back in our house. It's super cool. So she flew in at 1 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So,
damn, oh Jesus. Yeah. From here?
So, yeah, from SAUE. So from St. Louis, $500 one way, just to get her out here for the summer.
Damn.
So yeah, fucking rough. So my credit card, I had to pay my credit card bill yesterday, and I almost cried.
Shit, I'm crying for you.
I am thrilled about it. It's really good, but at the same time, I've sacrificed some wrestling time.
Yes,
but
sir. Yes, sir. I hear what you're saying.
It was AEW Dynamite last night, and I finally got around to starting it about 9 p.m. my time. And I managed to avoid all spoilers because I was busy, so I didn't look at my phone or anything. So, we have the Samoa Joe comes out. Joe. Fucking love it. Oh, my God. It's just like every bit. Like, so just a little bit of backstory. I didn't know Samoa Joe because, if you guys have been listening to this podcast since we started 5 years ago, I wasn't watching Impact back then. I wasn't watching ROH or anything. Joe was my introduction to Joe was NXT, which was a great introduction, right? The guy fucking rules. And then I've gone back and I've watched some of his stuff, especially on Pluto. They have a full Impact channel. I have watched Samoa Joe fight so many people. I watched him in a tag team match the other day with fucking the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Like, it's been awesome. But so Samoa Joe comes out, he's gonna face the Joker. Who's this Joker? Like, we've been joking around about it, like in Friends of BFR. We've been joking about it in text, and I'm like, oh, who's gonna be this Joker? Like, my fingers were crossed for Johnny and Candace. So we get to a point, and the lights go off, the graphics go up. Johnny Elite. I fucking flip out. Not thinking that it'd be Johnny Impact.
John Morrison.
I see why you flipped out. You thought it was Johnny Gargano.
I did, but I should have known because he would have been Johnny Wrestling, whereas Johnny Impact, Johnny Mundo, he's always Johnny whatever. Still, I wasn't that sad about it, but at the time I was just like, oh my God. So I fucking lost my mind. And then but I still wasn't that sad about it. So the introductory match is Samoa Joe versus Johnny Elite, which is I can't remember his real name. I'm just swapping on it.
It starts with an H. Johnny Hennigan or something?
Yeah.
John Hennigan, yeah.
Is that it?
John Hennigan. Sorry.
I didn't have to look that up.
Yeah, that was a good call.
It's 5:55. I've been drinking since 1 o'clock. So
fuck you, man. You ain't gotta rub that shit in.
Oh, it's not like this is actually more sad than like braggadocial. But yeah, so
it's more like an apology.
Yeah, that's actually more accurate. But yeah, they had a solid match. Nothing gangbusters. Like, I mean, this was just a good wrestling match. I won't speak out of turn and say this is why this episode of Dynamite was really good. There are a variety of reasons why this Dynamite was really good. This was a fun, impactful debut I thought it was really cool, even though it wasn't what I exactly wanted. But they had a great match and put it together, and teased the Muscle Buster, eventually got the Muscle Buster, and Samoa Joe went over John Hennigan to advance in the tournament. What did you guys think? Were you guys fooled the same way? Because I commented on Murray's, Lucha Chris's Twitter, because he thought the same thing, and I don't know if you guys were fooled or what you guys thought.
Obviously, I was working last night, and I was outside smoking a cigarette after all my tables were done, and I went on Facebook for whatever reason. I'm usually a Twitter guy, but either way. And the first thing that came up was like the Joker, discussion. I was like, oh, no, I want to see it. So I came in not knowing who was going to be the two Jokers. So I saw Johnny Elite, and I'm like, they're changing Gargano's name? Because like I said last week.
His real name is Johnny Gargano. There'd be no reason to change his name.
I don't know that, so,
Okay.
News to me.
Yeah.
It
might be Jonathan.
I'm thinking like Cesaro, somebody else. So when I see Johnny Elite, I'm like, wow, they changed his name? That's kind of fucked up. And I see John Morrison come out, I'm like, oh, okay, well then this makes more sense. For me, it wasn't like I was disappointed. I was just confused. I guess better choice of words. From that point, I agree with everything the Two Beers said. The match was fine. It wasn't like it was good or bad. It was probably somewhere in the middle. I think the crowd was thinking the same way that Two Beer, Lucha Chris, and others were thinking about it was going to be Johnny Gargano, and you get John Morrison.
The crowd was still hot for John Morrison.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say it wasn't like it was a letdown or anything. It was just. For
Johnny
me,
drip.
For me personally, I wasn't surprised because I didn't look, and when Johnny Elite came out, it became Morrison. And Morrison's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this was a precipitous drop towards the bottom of the ladder, so to speak. John Morrison's been around. He's won championships. I best know him from Impact. But for me personally, it was someone that I didn't expect. Number one, that's always a good thing. And number two, the right person went over.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't somebody that I expected, which was fun. The right person went over. The first thing I'll say before I get into the John Morrison thing is that it is fun to watch Samoa Joe wrestle in a non-main roster WWE type of way again. Like, he could do whatever he wanted in NXT, and that's why he had some great NXT matches. He was great in Impact back in the day. He just wrestles kind of a strong style,
ROH, shit.
Yeah, and it's a rough style. It was fun watching him wrestle. Those guys have been wrestling for a long time. They've probably wrestled, 40 times on and off the indies or TV. In terms of who it was, I walked in and the TV was on, and my TV does this thing that whatever's recording, it flips to. So it was already on like 5 minutes into the match. It was like 7:08 or whatever, and I thought it was Dalton Castle. I was a little further away. And it was a white guy that was probably 6'2" who had kind of longer hair, and I was like,
all white guys look alike.
I mean, a lot of them do. You ever seen the Jacksons? But I thought it was Dalton Castle, and I thought, oh, that's cool. Dalton Castle is, because he's an ROH guy. Like, that's good enough. Like, I wasn't expecting anything huge from this.
Not at all.
I was expecting
either way for either Joker. I wasn't expecting.
No, me neither. And I was, John Morrison is a pretty good. I wish he would have came in as Johnny Impact. Like, I wish they would have let him keep it, because I think Johnny Elite just doesn't sound that cool.
No.
He did miss that 450.
He wasn't even close.
No, he wasn't. It did not look good. And,
that was
the Starship Pain, which is one of my favorite names for a finisher of all time, also looked just okay. And you could kind of see on his face that he was disappointed in himself. He expected more of himself. But by all accounts, he's a pretty cool dude. But I started thinking, thinking was that Morrison came out, and then I was thinking his wife was going to be the Joker on the women's side. And I was like, well, that's actually Tara Valkyrie.
Yeah.
That's actually a little bit more impactful, no pun intended, on the women's side. is to have her join the women's. I hope they sign him. He is.
No. I
Well,
don't.
they don't. Here's the thing: they don't have to sign him.
No.
He's going to be successful. Like, he's going to make money just like Matt Cardona, bouncing around. He'll still be on AEW, ROH. He doesn't need
AAA.
a contract. Yeah, he'll make money with those appearances. It's not like he didn't make money. Like, he probably made $5,000 for showing up on Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, that's a living.
I have no idea how much. I don't even know how to gauge it. Like, you think he made
I don't
$5,000?
either,
Like,
but-
you could tell me $30,000. I'd be like, okay.
I say we
No,
need
but
Jinder
I
Mahal
assume-
on this one. I was about to say he's
Yeah.
the promoter of the the podcast.
He would know better because he's an actual promoter. But I would assume Johnny Impact, Johnny Elite probably made at least $2,500, maybe $5,000 just for showing up. You know, like,
Fuck it, I'll
Whatever.
take 5,000 to take a pin off of Samoa Joe. No problem.
Fuck, I got chopped by
Yeah.
Kurt Stallion for free.
So at that
Sorry,
point,
Stallion Rogers.
I was getting ready to say, at that point, I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad about who the reveal is. At that point, it is what it is. I was more worried about the match, and the match was
I wasn't
okay.
expecting Bray Wyatt. I wasn't expecting
No,
Cesaro.
no.
I mean, we talked about
I'd
it
like
last
to
week.
see Cesaro, but
All right.
to have it come out is probably a little too much.
What was next, Zach?
next we had backstage Hardy Boys and Young Bucks, which was hilarious. Like, I gotta admit, I was pretty weeded up. So
What?
like, I cackled. Yeah, believe it or not, I cackled.
He's weeded up.
At the,
That should be mine. Fuck that. He's the drunk guy. I'm the high guy. You play the middle guy. Fuck all that.
I cackled at some of this, but I don't remember much of it. I remember the Hardy Boys Matt Hardy calling the Young Bucks like Hardy Boys cosplay.
That was the line. I was like, oh, we fight now.
Yeah. Fucking hilarious, but obviously building up to their match at Double or Nothing. And then we had highlight of the night for me. And honestly, if we were in a different era, if we were not in a AEW Dynamite era, we'd be talking about this match a lot more. Hangman Page versus Takashida. I admittedly unfamiliar with Takashida. I know he's DDT Pro. I don't subscribe. Now that I've seen him, I would like to. But this dude had an amazing match with Hangman Page. Like, these guys hit each other so hard. Takashida is like, just, he got over.
He's got it.
To a non, he's got it.
Yeah.
He's got it. To a non, like, there's no way that the people in that crowd, whatever city they were in, like in Texas or whatever, there's no way that those people were all familiar with Takashida, and he got them to get behind him.
Yeah, he won them
This
over.
This match ruled. Like, I'd say this was like a 4.25 star match, maybe 4.5 star match.
I'd say if it would have had another 5 minutes, it would have been a 4.5 star match. For a TV match, though, on free TV in the first, 40 minutes of Dynamite, it was incredible.
It was absolutely incredible. Like, I want to watch more of this guy. Like, CM Punk comes out to do commentary with an abortion rights or human rights t-shirt, and like, I was sitting there and I was stoned, and I pointed it out to my wife and my oldest daughter, and I was like, look, CM Punk, like, look at his t-shirt, and they were so behind it. Like, it's funny because like neither one of them could give a single shit about wrestling, but they were like so enthused about him, and I just like kind of told them a little bit of his backstory, and they were just like so into it. And then,
I mean, when I don't want to cut you off, but just another point on that, because Aaron came and sat next to me during that match, and I was like, wait, CM Punk's going to get up after the match. Wait till you see the shirt he's wearing. And that is like that's a huge example of something that can happen in AEW that would never happen on WWE. Everything's not AEW versus WWE, but CM Punk being able to walk out there wearing that shirt is something that would never happen on WWE television. Never.
Nope. And they were like super behind it, and it was so cool. I was able to like talk to them about it, and they were in conversation, like a.
You were able to talk
weirdly
about
deep
you talked to him about abortion.
No, I just talked to him about CM Punk.
Oh, okay,
they were
okay.
we're all of like the same mind on that subject.
There's an abortion Godfather 2 too. So
Jesus.
just,
Yeah.
just
It ended up
thinking about it.
it ended up like spinning into like a deeper conversation about like family and politics and stuff, which was still like positive. Like it's good that CM Punk was able to catalyze such a important and deep conversation within my nuclear family unit. So I appreciate that. But at the same time, I was like marking out for the match, and I'm just like, yeah, like I agree with what you're saying. I'm just like, yeah, like ancillary, just like, dude, but like, dude, this guy just fucking like clotheslined this guy, and he clotheslined him at the same time, and then they both fell down, and it was awesome. I'm like, I need you guys to appreciate that. So,
Jason, what do you think about the match?
As the only guy of the three of us that has the DDP subscription, I'm a little upset that I haven't seen. Let's try this again.
Takashida
Before. He reminds me of
gotta talk
Okada.
about the finish.
He
The
kind of.
finish.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say you gotta talk about the finish. It was the chef's kiss. Go on.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to respond to what Punk did the week before.
It's tried and true.
I'm usually not a fan of like, if you hit the finisher, I'm a fan of just, pinning the guy and let's just move on. If you pull the guy up, I want you to lose at that point because that's just me. You've just fucked up and you just taken the win away from yourself. I want you to, take a little bit of salt in that wound. But this was perfect. Okay? If you're going to do my move, I'm going to do your move. And that's how the match ends. Ultimately, like I said, for me, it's not even about Hangman Page in the match. It was about his opponent. And how mad I haven't seen more of him. He literally, I look at him and he reminds me of Okada a lot.
He got a lot in defeat.
Without question.
Yep.
If I want to see what you do outside of this match, then you've gotten yourself over. And that's ultimately what it's all about at this point.
Not much more I can say about the match. I do want to say that Punk on commentary,
that's his next job.
He's so good. But you know what he did? He put Hangman Page over the entire time on commentary. When Hangman Page did the GTS, he was like, I love it. He's like, that's the perfect sign of respect. And he was saying, it's not, he kept saying, I'm not saying that Hangman Page is a bum or anything. I think that he's great. I'm just saying that I'm going to beat him.
Next world heavyweight champion.
I'm going to beat him. That's
perfect
how you put people over.
Move. Here's my, okay.
I
want to throw this out
Baker
there.
Could learn some things. I know that you say she's a heel, but you can be a heel and still put your opponents over. Paul Heyman does it all the time. All the time.
Paul Heyman has more credibility. If Paul Heyman tells me,
Britt Baker was a long-time champ.
If Paul Heyman tells me that Cesaro is worthy of being across the ring from Roman Reigns, it would be more believable than if Britt Baker says that Rio is worthy of being across the ring.
Fair enough. This is just a difference in philosophies between me and you. That's fine.
I will say,
should run down everybody.
This match, I love this match, and it will be forever memorable to me because just to be like very gushy and very personal, like my daughter, because of that T-shirt, then like started opening up, and she came out to us that she has some like non-binary like tendencies, like she is attracted to females a little bit, like, so I thought it was like super cool that this catalyzed a comfortable discussion where she felt like open to us to like actually discuss these things. And I'll forever gush about AEW for opening something like that, because again, that's not something you would see on WWE.
All roads lead to wrestling. Wrestling can do all things.
Okay, you stole my thunder.
It can do all things.
I was getting ready to say that shit. It's crazy that a wrestling show sparks that discussion.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It makes me feel better being a wrestling fan when you hear you say that.
What was next, Zach?
Sorry. Face ID. Here we go. We're scrolling. And
it was Swerve and Keith Lee versus.
No, Fuego came out first, and then they had the match.
Oh yeah, Fuego had his little promo, which was fine. It was very Fuego promo. He did a good job. But unadvertised, we had Swerve and Keith Lee versus JD Drake and Anthony Henry. JD Drake, great worker. Haven't seen Anthony Henry as much. But did a good job. JD Drake's doing a good job of, I see him on Twitter. He is getting himself in shape. Not saying that's necessary, but in a cosmetic business, he understands the game, and he's doing a good job of putting himself in that position. So he's not just the fat jobber who's a good worker. But in this sense, he was the jobber, and it is not a bad thing. I don't put that as a negative connotation. They, had a good match. Keith Lee looks like he's lost some weight.
Mm-hmm.
I love. What do you think of the finishing move? I love that power bomb into the stomp.
Yeah,
the chest stomp.
No,
it's
I do
almost
like that a lot.
The new Doomsday device.
Yeah, it has. What's the word I'm looking for? Not potential, but it feels like they are a tag team. Usually, good tag teams have their finishing move. You know what I'm saying? The makeshift tag teams use their own finisher. Whatever their solo finisher is, that's what they usually use, and then, you walk away. Just because we were talking about Naomi and Sasha have their own finishing move. Now you have this one in the Workhorsemen versus Keith Lee and Swerve. I'll just say this about the Workhorsemen. I've seen them in Evolve, and they were one of the better tag teams in Evolve. I get why they're in this spot right here. Like you said, you're not familiar with Anthony Henry. I am. I think he's probably, somewhere in the middle, but he can work a great match. You put him and JD Drake together, excuse me. I think they're a really good tag team. I don't think that JD Drake needs to lose weight. To me, he reminded me of Samoa Joe. Okay, just in the wider version. A little bit overweight, but, he can move around. He can slap like nobody's business. He can be physical like nobody's business. So that, to me, was my attraction to J.D. Drake as a wrestler. That being said, I think ultimately we got to where we wanted to be post-match when you had Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks come out. Then you had Jurassic Express come out. Christian is, let's make this as a triple threat at Double or Nothing. But beforehand, we're going to do a triple threat singles next week. That's where we're ultimately going with this. For me personally, I'm mad because I watched the Workhorsemen wrestle in tag team matches, and I'd like to see them be more pushed. But we got where we wanted to be, and we got another Double or Nothing match, triple threat for the tag team titles. This is where I think Jurassic Express is probably, it's a safe bet for them to drop the titles without them being pinned. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is, they're setting it up to where one of the other two teams win the titles, and then Jurassic Express challenges. They'll probably lose. Then we start heading towards a Christian heel turn versus Jungle Boy.
Can we talk about how Swerve and Keith Lee are kind of a mismatch? It's not even
you think?
Yeah, I do. I think they're a mismatch. I think that Keith Lee is he's a weird promo, and it doesn't seem like they're like an opposites attract kind of tag team to me. It just seems to me like they're mismatch. They have one thing in common that surely everybody can see.
They're both really athletic.
Yeah, that's right.
CMB.
They don't seem to me like a tag team, though. They don't seem...
I agree with that.
They don't seem... I want a tag team to have the same mission or to have the same ethos or something like that.
You want to win tag team titles.
Yeah, but even then, I want them to have something in common besides just both being black. To me, they don't seem like a tag team to me.
So, pardon the pun, if they were like brothers in the figurative term, would that be better?
Yeah, it would be better. You mean if they were like Sonny and Michael or Fredo and Sonny or something like that?
Or something like that.
Yeah, that would be. I would prefer that. But to me, it just seems like they're thrown together, and
I won't disagree with that.
That's not what AEW, which has a strong tag team division, seems to be. It seems like they are thrown together amongst a division full of cohesive teams.
Can I throw something out there and say that them putting Keith Lee and Swerve together feels like I'll piggyback on what you're saying. It's an unnecessary move, and the fact that their division is so stacked, it feels like they don't have a real direction of what they want to do
with that team, particularly, or with the division.
I just think with the singles guys, they don't have a plan for either one. They're both too big to not have them compete for any titles, so they put them together to compete for the tag team. Basically,
I've never said this before about AEW, but this might be an instance where both those guys would have been better served being in the Owen Hart Invitational or the Owen Hart tournament rather than being thrown together as a tag team.
Swerve was in it. He just lost. He lost to Darby Allin.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. It's an embarrassment of riches, and
right.
I love that Tony Khan wants to get everybody on television. I really do. I
just want to do it in the right way.
Yeah, and
Keith Lee's not a tag team guy. Swerve's not a tag team guy.
No, not. I mean, Swerve seems. I loved. What were they called? Hit Row. I liked when he was the leader of a faction. Now that would be one thing, but him being a tag team with Keith Lee. It
feels like both of them. It's a step back for
Keith
both
Lee
guys.
is a singles guy to me,
for sure. No question about it. The fact that he's not in a world heavyweight title picture is a little,
or even just the TNT. Like have him go against Scorpio Sky. It doesn't. It doesn't click with me.
Agreed. What are you going to say, Two Beer?
Oh, I was just going to say they're both suited more for singles, especially with, like, I'm going to shit on AEW, like, big surprise, like, spoiler alert, just like hashtag, like, I don't know, time market or whatever, but the TNT title situation is absolute hot garbage right now, because, dude, like, I thought they fixed it. Remember, I was on here a few weeks ago. Like, you can roll back the tape. I was like, oh, man, they did such a good job. Like, they switched Scorpio Sky to a babyface. Everybody was behind him. They fixed the thing because Sammy was getting booed. And then now, all of a sudden, Scorpio's a heel again, and so is Sammy, and they're still fighting for the TNT title. Like, just get away from each other. Like, they need to separate that.
The ending of Rampage was so dumb.
It was so frustrating.
It was so dumb to have Scorpio Sky go through the whole build to the match with Frankie Kazarian, beat Frankie Kazarian with a bunch of near falls
as a babyface, babyface match,
and then turn on Frankie Kazarian again just to go back with America's Top Team. It just didn't make any sense.
It was very dumb.
It was not like The Godfather, where like all the twists and turns like make tons of sense after you see the whole picture at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll say this, and then we can move on back to Dynamite. I watched Rampage. I guess it was last night or whatever. So obviously I knew what happened. The match I thought was good, but then when Ethan Page was the guy that I took the most notice, because he was like, yeah, I did it. I hit him with the belt. I'm like, fucking A right. Ethan Page, there you go. Somebody step up to the fucking plate. Another guy that I think that is not used enough, but neither here nor there.
Scorpio Sky's character is so limp-dicked. Limp-dicked. That's the gesture I make.
Okay,
I know this is an audio medium, but like I'm doing a gesture. So they're going to have a triple threat match. I have no idea why the champions would ever propose a triple threat match. It's always the dumbest thing in kayfabe style that can fucking happen. But if Christian's going to turn heel, maybe you guys talked about this while I was pissing.
Another dumb thing. Like, I will attest to that. Like, It is a match that I definitely want to see.
Of course.
So at least in that sense, it's good, but it is incredibly dumb. But at the same time, at least maybe it plays into Christian being a heel, because at the same time as he proposed that match, he also proposed a triple threat singles match for next week that Jungle Boy Jack Perry seemed very reluctant.
Yeah, he reacted to like, what the fuck?
You mean? Hey, man.
You know what Aaron said to me last night when that segment was happening? She looked at Jungle Jack Perry. She goes, does he have those sideburns just because his dad had those sideburns on 90210? I was
Jesus
like, maybe.
Christ.
I mean, that might be because he does have really long sideburns. And I don't know, for people who aren't as old as us, they might not remember how big of a deal Luke Perry's sideburns were on 90210. They were a thing.
He was a big deal.
People had sideburns.
Okay.
I tried having sideburns.
Was a big fucking deal on 90210.
You know his name.
I had a two-pronged folder whenever I was probably in 5th grade that had and it was funny because I remember my mother and my grandmother being like, had a weird face whenever I picked it out for my school supplies, but it was a 90210 folder and it said all the hot guys. It had like Jason Priestley and
you rolling around with that. Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah. And I had no idea because I wasn't into I hadn't hit puberty yet, so I didn't understand. I was just a fan of the show, but like it was definitely like a girls folder that just had like all of the dudes from 90210. But I was just a fan.
They left Ian Ziering off, right?
No, he was on there. Ian Ziering, Brian Austin Green.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Yep. They were all standing
Steve Sanders.
on the beach. They were all standing on the beach with surfboards like stacked to the beach and like with their abs out, and it was
Little known fact about Steve Sanders: it wasn't actually Ian Ziering; it was Billy Gunn. What was next, Zach?
Nice.
Next, we had the backstage segment with Jade Cargill interrupting Chris Statlander and Red Velvet. I think everybody did a pretty decent job here. Chris Statlander seemed a little uncomfortable talking. She's not like the greatest talker. I like her as a talent. She's much better in ring than she's talking, but essentially, just setting up a match between those two because Chris Statlander is now in the Owen Hart tournament. So we'll see how that comes down.
Jason raised his hand like I had something to say about this segment. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, thank you very much. The 4 recognizes Jason Seabell from the whatever district in downtown St. Louis. Okay.
The 63116, probably.
Thank you. I guess my biggest problem is the fact that she is not injured, okay? We saw the Philly street fight. Then I saw her in Japan in a tag team match, subsequently there later. She didn't look injured to me. So
no, she wrestled like 4 matches in 48 hours.
Okay, so here's my problem with this. Number one, this smells like WWE to me. I like the fact that AEW always kept it clean. I'm not saying that they don't now, but in this particular scenario, they kind of did some WWE shit. Oh, she's injured, but she's literally in Japan and she's wrestling 4 matches. Don't tell me that shit. Tell me she's got visa issues. Tell me she's got fucking the Rona or whatever. Don't say that she's injured or put Chris Statlander in it. Either or. I've always had credit or gave credit to AEW for keeping shit clean. They recognize WWE. They recognize there's other shit out there. So this should be on the same line of play. Keep that same energy. If Sheeta can't come back, then say she can't come back. We're going to replace her with Chris Statlander.
I have to say something real fast before we move on that I forgot to say during our Sasha and Naomi thing, is that a lot of people were blaming Vince McMahon for the press release that came out after that, which I also thought was bullshit. Like, that's stupid to bury your own talent. People on Twitter are trying to make the distinction between Vince McMahon or between WWE and AEW on this one. But don't forget that Tony Khan also buried the fuck out of Big Swole after he left her or after he dropped her. So I that was something that I wanted to say, and I never got around to it. So I'm sorry. We can go back to Chris Statlander and Red Velvet. Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add. Like, I feel like maybe it was so weird with the I feel like it was like miscommunication or something. Like, because they came out and said she was injured, and she was like, I'm not injured. Like,
right.
I don't know. It just had. It seems like mostly what I would put it down to, and this is not a defense, but I feel like Tony Khan's running 4 companies, and he just like forgot to let her know about a storyline because he was just like too busy drinking White Claws and doing cocaine and running 4 companies. And he was just like, oh yeah, we had the storyline. I forgot to tell you about it.
Sounds like a defense to me, but what else?
No, I'm not. No, I mean,
dude, I'm fucking with you.
That's not defensible. It's just like reality.
Listen,
but yeah.
As somebody who's never done cocaine but has seen people do it in movies, I know that people act a fool when they're doing cocaine. So I'll give them a pass on that.
You gonna give them a pass on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen Boogie Nights. I know that people act weird when they're on cocaine.
This is true story.
It looks like a terrible drug.
Especially,
it looks like it's not any fun at all.
Especially when they're billionaires and they have unlimited amounts of it.
Oh my God. If I was a billionaire that had been to space, I would just tweet all day. So
he would tweet stuff like, watch Big Swole on Dynamite, never mind. Anyway.
You ain't shit.
Never mind, my right nostril's bleeding. And and I'm watching the last 30 minutes of The Godfather on repeat.
I was getting ready to say, don't film me. My right nostril's bleeding. Go ahead.
Well, let's get to let's get to a good segment.
Okay, we're getting ready to jump into it.
That was what I was just going to say. We had literally the best segment of the entire show. This was absolutely glorious. We had the Wardlow JF segment. So
A+.
MJF comes out with Sean Spears. This segment was amazing.
A+, man. Just
so good.
Jason's giving me.
Okay, go ahead, Two Beer. Matt, paint the picture.
I'll tell you.
And I'll speak afterwards.
I'll paint the picture, and yeah, we'll see how you think. I thought this was fantastic. So, MJF and Sean Spears come out, and then we have Wardlow doing the full Goldberg entrance, like handcuffed,
but he's handcuffed.
Shirtless. Yeah. Goldberg, but he's handcuffed, and security surrounding him, walking out. Everybody's saying Wardlow. Just great. He comes out to do the 10 lashes, and MJF starts hitting him. And we have personal previous experience of this with Cody Rhodes taking 10 lashes from MJF, where that was whenever like Brandy came out, and we had this like full baby face thing, and we were confused because Brandy was like such a piece of shit with like her weird Nightmare Collective like thing. And we didn't understand it, but it was still very impactful television. Here, like, we had Wardlow just straight up no sell, 9 lashes. This dude just takes the lashes and he's like, yeah, whatever. And then
the 9th one he sold.
Yeah, the 9th
he's
one
like, okay, all right, motherfucker.
Perfect.
Let's get this shit over with.
Yeah, it was awesome.
This is starting to hurt.
That's what made it, because he no-sold it until MJF got so mad that he starts just strapping him and saying, fuck you, Wardlow, I know this hurts. I fucking hate you. Like, just screaming.
He was on the turnbuckle screaming, I hate you so much, I hate you,
Sean
I hate
Spears
you.
got a little piece of it, and it still didn't bother him.
Yeah, but he hit the 9th one, and then he
Well, the 9th one was Sean Spears. The 9th one was Sean Spears, and it kind of went up over his shoulder or his lat. And then Wardlow turned to MJF all cuffed up and said, there's one more. And
one more.
I gotta admit, I marked out a little bit. Like this is pro wrestling, man. This was good stuff.
It was perfectly executed. Just perfectly executed. So he hits the 9th one, he sells it finally, and then MJF goes to do the 10th, and he kicks him in the balls, and then he just beats the shit out of him with the straps more. And then they do Sean Spears' finisher, and they pin him, and MJF counts the 3. This was perfect television.
The only
there isn't a thing they could have done different.
The only thing I would have done differently is I would have had Wardlow kick out of the 3.
You ain't shit.
I really would have.
Okay, so
that would have been so funny, dude.
This is the markdown day.
Would have been so funny.
Two Beer is talking all kinds of crazy shit. You're talking about kicking out of finishers. This is the most ridiculous episode of BFR.
You can kick out of Sean Spears finishers. He's a loser.
Okay, wait, come on, man.
You know what's funny? Hey, Dave Meltzer said the exact same thing as Bill. Like,
is that true?
Meltzer,
Fuck, I take it back.
On Wrestling Observer Radio today, he said this was great television. He's like, the only thing I would have done different is I would have had Wardlow kick out.
Fuck you, really? Fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
You're a Meltzer.
I'm changing it then.
It's already on.
That.
Nope, it's here.
The
it's here for posterity.
Like, there's a reason I pay $12.99. Like, I don't agree with everything he says, but the dude's literally like the smartest guy in wrestling. Like, he's been watching it for 50 years and not even watching it, just writing about it for 50 years.
God damn! I was thinking when I was watching, I was like, man, if he kicks out here, it's gonna fuck it. That place would have gone berserk.
Yeah,
that's what he
because
said.
it's not in
That's
Long
what he
Island.
said. He said the pop would have been outrageous, but he was like, at the same time, I understand why they didn't do it. He's like, because they were setting it up, because whenever they do the match, they'll probably have him do that finisher and Wardlow will kick out, and then they'll get the pop. So
yeah.
Okay. I know you guys, and I'm not going to say this segment was not great. It was. But we've seen this segment. This is WWE, okay? If I'm going to knock WWE for doing repeat shit and knock AEW for not doing repeat shit, then I would be a hypocrite. We've seen this before. This is Cody Rhodes with the lashing. Was this one better? Probably, but we've seen it. We've seen MJF put the line of opponents up before for multiple guys. I'm not going to disagree with the segment itself, okay? Wardlow came out like Denzel Washington from Gory. If you ever seen Gory when he's getting whipped, he was just like, let's do this shit. Fuck it. Yeah, I fucked up. I'm going to take my whips like a champ. And that's what I thought when Wardlow was taking whips like a champ. Sorry, not sorry. That being said, we've seen it before. We've seen MJF put guys in front of the ultimate opponent before. That's all I'm saying. The segment itself was cool. Dare I say great. But we've seen the angle before.
I will say this, though. WWE probably would have tried to incorporate, even as subtle as WWE can be, they would have tried to incorporate some type of slave imagery or slave. They would have done something that was just a little bit too much, just a little bit too provocative.
They would have had like Cedric Alexander and
Cedric Alexander would be Sean Spears, and he'd be like dressed like Samuel L. Jackson and Django or something.
That's how we were just talking about that today at work. We were just talking about that at work. I swear to God, we were just talking about Samuel L. Jackson in Django.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It would have been something too much. But there was. Listen, when you're seeing a guy get whipped on television, it's hard not to think of, for certainly somebody of a certain age, to not think of Roots or something like that. Amistad,
yeah.
You know, but they, to their credit, I mean, you can't give them too much credit for not trying to be racist, but this was really just a Wardlow MJF thing, and
it gets Wardlow over more. Like you said,
I mean, you know how long they've been telling this fucking story?
And
we still haven't seen MJF take a power bomb.
Nope.
And you still want to see it. Like, it has not gotten old, and you have to give them all the credit in the world for that.
No, I'm not.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying you're not. I'm just sucking AEW's dick. I'm an AEW sexual, and I am sucking AEW's dick right now, saying how good it's been. Because this
segment has been.
This
angle, dare I say, has been very.
When
very
I
good.
turned on Dynamite last night, that was the segment I wanted to see. That was the segment I was looking forward to.
I wanted to see how it played out, and it was really good.
I was looking forward to that sports entertainment. You know what I mean?
They ended up like basically to the point where you're just like, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna pay $50 to see the rest of this.
I'm a start talking.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be a match where, like, Rock Austin is one. What? Not Rock Austin. Hogan is one of my favorite, and Rock Austin is one of my favorite matches in WWE WrestleMania history that has no titles involved.
But
none.
Wardlow getting his hands. Wardlow getting his hands on MJF.
We want to see it.
They should open with it.
No, midway through.
They might.
They should open. They should open with it.
Make them wait some more.
All right. They've waited long enough.
Okay, you gonna be here for 6 hours. You might as well wait for
no
30
shit.
minutes.
It's gonna be a 7-hour pay-per-view.
Okay, well that's it. Go ahead. Speaking of which,
speaking of which, we had the next segment, which was Jericho and William Regal face to face, and I mean, this is pretty fun. A lot of banter back and forth. Regal saying that he shoved Jericho and those guys' toothbrushes up his asses, which was pretty fun. But essentially, this is Jericho saying, "Hey, we want to challenge you to a stadium stampede," and I think the best fucking thing.
Thank you, John Moxley.
If the previous segment was not the best, this line was the best on the show, where Moxley just interrupted and was like, "I ain't doing that shit." He's just like, "I ain't doing that sports entertainment
Before
shit."
he said this, so when Jericho's cutting his promo and he's running down Regal about his addiction and everything, and you know Regal and Jericho are just tight as fuck, you know. And he's running down everybody. He runs down LAX and he runs down Dana Bryan, calls him a nerd. And then he says, "Hey, if you hang out with these guys long enough, you'll be doing rehab with John Moxley or something like that," which was a good line. And John Moxley's just on the ropes, just rocking back and forth, just not even
just
looking at him.
Just go ahead.
And so,
keep talking.
And so
talking.
I'm thinking, you know, when this segment started, like I'm thinking, you know, what's fucked up about Blackpool Combat Club is that they have to play because Danielson and Moxley are both such big stars. They have to get. I'm sure that Tony Khan and both of those performers and even Regal's, like, they both have to have their full entrances, which I get because they are huge stars that are in this huge faction. And I'm like, but man, it really sucks.
Are they bigger than the Undisputed Elite?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'm sorry. Okay, all right. To be down, you guys are the AEW, biggest marks in the pod. So if you're saying,
you're talking about the two biggest baby faces in the company. Maybe the three biggest baby faces in the company if you include Regal.
Yeah, you got Hangman who's champ, and you got CM Punk who's on another. I feel like CM Punk's just on another level. He's outside of everything, but outside of that, Moxley and Danielson are the biggest stars. Outside of the champion and CM Punk, because they're on different levels, but they're the biggest stars in the company right now.
But I was like, man, you can't have these guys come out without Moxley talking. Then Moxley's like, nah, we're not doing that shit. And I was like, fuck
Thank you.
Here we go.
Here you go, John Moxley. Stadium Stampede sucks.
He didn't say blood and guts, so we're not getting that, but we are getting a 5-on-5 match, which will honestly probably lead to a blood and guts. It probably won't be done. But so we're going to get a 5-on-5 match, probably at the pay-per-view. So it won't be blood and guts because blood and guts is very time-consuming with the in and out, with the war games.
Basically, war games, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to get 5-on-5, and that'll probably lead to a blood and guts, which is fine. That's all cool. Like, I'm down with it.
Okay, so here's my side piece, sidebar for 30 seconds, then we can get back to AEW Dynamite in 30 seconds. I said it last week. If they put this on the pay-per-view, this is going to be 5 hours. William Vega, are you willing to spend 5 hours on this bad boy?
Overall, yes.
Okay.
Consecutively? No.
I'm just. That's what I'm saying. To me,
I'm spending $50. I want my money for it.
To me, I'm going to be at somebody's house, probably Tinder Mahal's, and we're going to sit down for the next 5 hours and do this thing.
To me, like, if I walk in on the pay-per-view 2 hours into it and there's only 3 hours left, even if you tell me who won this match, I'm still going to go back and watch it. But really, the only match, like, I've been watching wrestling long enough. The only match that I really care about seeing who wins is Punk Page.
Fair.
I mean, everything else I'll go back and watch, but I do not want to watch Punk Page knowing the ending.
No, that's
Totally
my
fair.
thing. I'm actually camping that weekend because it's Memorial Day weekend, so we have a campsite. So I told my wife, I was like, we can either go home early or we can drive somewhere. If I don't have Wi-Fi, we'll drive somewhere where I have Wi-Fi, and you guys can do whatever, and I'll sit with my iPad.
You gave her the option. Here's the single guy speaking. You gave her the option. Guess what we getting ready to do?
I mean, I don't care where I watch it. I just want Wi-Fi. I'll watch it on my iPad.
That's why y'all married and I'm single.
This is taking too long. I'm getting high.
Go ahead.
Yeah, moving on. We had
Match of the night.
Britt Baker versus the women's Joker, which was Maki Ito.
I'm sorry.
Also,
you're skipping shit.
What was I skipping?
Phoenix versus KOR.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did skip that. Yeah, we had.
And
Phoenix
also,
versus,
we had a Roppongi Vice.
that wasn't match of the night. Like, it was a great match, but like, dude, Paige and
Phoenix O'Reilly was the match of the night.
Phoenix and O'Reilly was the
You
match
think
of the
so?
night.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, I mean, for me, it was definitely it was 100% Paige and Takashida.
6 1 and
But-
half dozen the other.
Can I ask you guys something? Does Excalibur say Phoenix?
He does, yeah, because that's how his name's actually pronounced, is Ray Phoenix. Yeah.
So it's
Oh.
not Phoenix.
Oh. Okay.
No.
Okay. That kind of
But
fucked
yeah,
me up.
this-
Okay, go ahead, Zach.
This was a great match. The story of the match is obviously Ray Phoenix had his arm hurt. We all saw it. It was graphic. It was brutal. And the story was Kyle
And it wasn't
O'Reilly
that long ago.
No. And Kyle O'Reilly was playing into that, and he was throwing him into the post. He was doing everything he could. And, they had a killer match. The highlight of the match was Ray running the ropes and doing the Hurricane Rana off of the apron. That was insane. I love that so much. But Kyle O'Reilly got him into an armbar, and then he switched to the hurt arm, and he ended up breaking his hold, and ended up getting him to tap out because of his injured arm. So, it was a killer match. I'm not going to argue the point, but for me, like, Takashida was such a star-making performance that he literally turned himself into an American superstar from being nothing. And then everybody knows that these guys are great.
Well, when I thought that you were saying match of the night, you said Britt Baker first, and I was like, man, Britt Baker, Maki Ito wasn't the match of the night. No, I forgot about. I had already forgot that we were talking about Adam Page and Takashida.
I'll say this.
But yeah.
We can argue match of the night if you want to. Okay. For me, I think the biggest thing, and this is just one of our core principles about heel wrestlers, when they win clean, that should be something that should be, not celebrated, but just let's put that on the side for 30 seconds. I expected the Bucks, not Adam Cole, because obviously he was in the main event, Bobby Fish especially. I expected to see one of those three guys to come out and have a little fuckery. When you have Kyle O'Reilly tap out Ray Phoenix, did I say it right?
Ray Phoenix, yeah.
Okay. When you haven't tapped him out, that to me was just like, okay, now we got something going. I'm not saying that Kyle O'Reilly's going to win this tournament, I expect them to be in the finals.
Yeah, I support my kids. I support my kids.
I expect Adam Cole to be in the
finals. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. And then at that point, you have a little intrigue to where the Owner Cup tournament final has intrigue like the rest of Double or Nothing has some intrigue.
I think that's a little unfair to AEW, though, because AEW does have heels win clean a lot. That's the WWE-ification of your mind. Like I don't think it's your fault. You've been watching WWE longer than any other promotion. So have I. So have Zach. So has Zach. But, like, the heels never go over clean in WWE. In other promotions, they do. All right, let's move on. Let's not get bogged down. We can get we could get bogged down
on that one for sure.
Then we had the women's Joker with Britt Baker and Maki Ito. Maki Ito was one of the women's Jokers that I had chosen. She is actually going to be here in Portland on that weekend that I said I was out of town. I was actually planning on going to the Roseland Theater to see Prestige Wrestling because Maki Ito will be there. They're doing a 2-night show, and I'm going to be, even though I live here in town, I'm going to be like 20 miles away camping, so I'm going to miss it. But Maki Ito...
What you should do is buy a couple of tickets, act like you're going to go, and then sell those tickets to me. When Cindy Riot was great.
You'd have to buy a very expensive plane ticket to get out here. So
it's not like I don't have 2 jobs, but go ahead.
Look at this money maker over here fucking talking about how much money he's got. Oh, you're going to buy that plane ticket, huh?
If it's not like $10,000, we should be good.
It could be.
Well, they still have
you seen the inflation?
Available.
500.
But yeah, like,
okay, we just had that conversation.
Valkyrie will be there. Athena will be there. I'm pretty sure, Malachi Black's going to be there. It's going to be a big show.
Buy me 2 tickets. I'll pay you back.
But
Britt Baker versus Maki Ito.
It was,
which sounds
rough.
Like a coffee drink, Maki Ito.
Sorry. I'm sneezing again. Sorry. We have a lot of pollen out here.
That was nice.
Maki Ito is, I love her. She's like my Japanese spirit animal. She's so great. Like, the only English words she knows are cuss words. Like, she tweets things like, "I'm the goddess of piss." And then she just has like a cute photo with her in a Japanese schoolgirl outfit. I love her. But, so anyway, she came out and they had a pretty rushed match, mostly a comedy match, but you could tell they were just trying to get through it. And Britt Baker went over because, she's the one moving on in this Owen Hart tournament. It's like the Adam Cole Britt Baker show. It'll be interesting to see if either one of them loses or if they both end up in the finals.
I'm kind of starting to hate. Kind of starting to hate Britt Baker.
What?
Yeah,
why? Because he's not the champion?
Job.
No, it's. I don't know. She never really makes anybody look good, either in ring or on promo.
Okay.
It seems like she kind of sandbags people.
Okay, I'll say this as just my perspective. I know I like heels to run down the baby faces on promos. I'll give you that.
Yep.
I think part of the problem is with Britt Baker trying to make other people look good is that she's not necessarily the person to put other people over in ring. She's still kind of greenish too.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's fair. That's an extremely good point that I really had not given a lot of thought to because I just think of her as the top of the card.
Exactly.
But really when you're talking about in ring, you name those 6 women in WWE earlier, every single one of them is better in ring than Britt Baker. That's true.
And it's not a knock.
Right.
It's just it
is
what it is.
Every single one of them has been wrestling for
longer,
10 years longer than Britt
exactly.
Baker.
All that's fair. It's just I never really gave a lot of thought to her. Maybe that's because that's how professional she comes off.
Well,
or that's how good she comes off.
as the top of the card, there has to be certain expectations, okay? She can cut a promo, check.
I mean, they really don't have. I mean, Serena Deeb can go. Sheeta can go. But, like, they're two top women, which is Jade Cargill.
Chris Statlander?
Yeah, she can go, but she'll. I mean, she might
I'm just going down the list.
We're getting down to the weeds. Go ahead.
Well, we weren't even talking about Thunder Rosa, which is actually kind of indicative of her title reign. It's been pretty bad.
Exactly.
So I saw a lot of people fucking with Serena Deeb's Dustin Rhodes segment. I saw a lot of people saying this is why Serena Deeb needs a mouthpiece. I thought it's the best she looked in a long time. I kind of like the idea of Serena Deeb calling down a male wrestler who is her opponent's coach and having a promo segment with him. Like, to me, that seemed like a cool thing that you don't really see very often.
I guess my only problem
Actually, you never see it.
I guess my only problem with this is the execution in the ring where you want to have Serena Deeb hit Thunder Rosa with the title, and for whatever reason, Thunder Rosa was like a step off. She looked at, instead of like looking at Dustin.
I mean, that's like in Godfather 1 where Sonny Corleone runs down Carlo after he beats up his sister, and like they have that long fight scene and he just completely misses the punch, and it's like the funniest missed punch in all cinema history.
Okay.
Right?
Kind of similar to that.
All right, cool.
Thunder Rosa wasn't on her spot. Serena Deeb had to step back, wait. Oh, now you're looking? Bow.
Is Zach no-selling that, or is that just not funny?
I think he's
no-selling.
no-selling.
Sorry. I was trying to be polite, and I was muted.
Have you met this episode? Have you met this podcast? I'm sorry.
No, I was just muted, trying to be polite.
Just a big-time missed punch, though. Like, it's unbelievable they kept it in.
And that's...
If it was on the Star Wars prequels, they would have just...
Okay, and now we're talking about it. I want to get my piece out, and we can move on.
I got to piss. You guys better move on.
One of the worst fucking builds for Double or Nothing. And I'll put that on anything else. It's not about, it's about women's, because God knows I watch a lot of women's wrestling. This is a horrible build. I mean, god damn. Zach, defend this. Please. You're the AEW guy. This has been a bad build. Okay, this feels like Ronda Rousey's Charlotte before WrestleMania. This should be more bigger. It's not like it's like bad people in the ring. It's just how we're getting to the ring is the biggest problem.
Which build? I'm sorry.
Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb.
Oh, yeah. Ever since Thunder Rosa has won that championship, which the build to her winning was great, ever since she's won, that title has been non-existent and not a priority. It's been not great at all.
So is it the performer, Thunder Rosa,
no.
or is it the build?
No, it's not Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa,
no.
I think, is one of the better talents they
I
have.
I saw something like she's had 20 minutes of airtime in the past 8 weeks.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
So what's the problem? I mean, I guess I'm only asking you because you're the AEW guy this other one over here to my right is the other one. I guess here's my problem with this. If you're going to have Thunder Rosa have this big build and win the title off of Britt Baker, arguably the best women's wrestler you have on the block, why are you not building up to another episode, match, whatever you want to call it, to where even if Serena Deeb loses, she can still win? It's not like you're doing anything with this title.
No, they're not doing anything. That's the problem. I'm not going to defend it. It's shit.
Perfect. That's the shit I like to hear. Nope. Stop.
It's still I'm just going to say, like, I still love the show and I still look forward to the show, but
obviously
What are you guys
that
talking
aspect of the show. Oh, it's just the women's division, the women's title picture is terrible since Britt Baker lost the title. It's like it's a non-issue. It's not important.
So here's what happens.
Focus at all.
Here's what happens. I take a hit of weed. I go inside to take a piss. I come back out, and you guys have bogged the show down. Time to talk about Adam Cole versus Jeff Hardy, baby.
That's good. Let's move it on. And actually, we can move it on.
I can't wait till I take this show over in 3 weeks. Can't wait.
We get 2 weeks. I'm going to fish.
Whatever, motherfucker. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever.
We can move it on at the same pace that they moved the show on, which was very fast. This main event was very fast. It was just boom, 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 boom. Adam Cole, no pun intended, with the boom. Adam Cole, but it was boom, boom, boom. And
Shivani did a great job of telling the story, though, that Jeff Hardy was just too fucked up from the week before.
It's
they did a great job. They did a great job.
Sports analogy or any sports,
I mean, they sold the fuck out of the Darby Allin Jeff Hardy match even this week by having Adam Cole going over Jeff Hardy as dominantly as he did. And I like a match like that every once in a while. I like when somebody just dominates out of nowhere because you're expecting
Jeff Hardy's,
these.
Got the tape around his fucking ribs. We get it. And I agree with you. Absolutely perfect.
I mean, it's weird because of all the great back and forth matches that Brock Lesnar has had. Like the one Brock Lesnar match that always sticks out in my mind. Well, there's a bunch.
John Cena.
But it's that John Cena one at SummerSlam where he just suplexed him like 27 times and John Cena got his ass completely kicked. And it was a 10-minute match where Cena got in no offense. And it's like that sticks in your mind because it's notable, And that's kind of what I thought about this main event.
And the thing with Jeff Hardy, he could have said week before or he could have just said decades. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Jeff had a rough time. So but it is what it is. Adam Cole's moving on, and that's that.
So Adam Cole is in the finals, correct?
No, it's Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe, and it's right.
Yeah, next week.
And then the other side is
Kyle
Britt
O'Reilly.
Baker. Kyle O'Reilly. Who's he facing?
I thought Adam Cole was in the finals by winning this match.
We can figure it out later. Then they had a big old schmoz. Just a huge schmoz. Just let's get everybody on camera for the schmoz.
Fine.
Schmoz time, guys.
Fine.
So do you think they're going to do Hardy's Young Bucks, or do you think they're going to do Hardy's Young Bucks versus Darby and Sting versus?
Jesus Christ, dude!
No, I think
on.
I think the world needs a Hardy's Young Bucks tag team match with just those two teams, and the world needs it before something else happens. I know they're not that old,
I don't want
but
to
it's
see
like either one of them. I mean, Matt. I mean, it was on this podcast probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where Sammy Guevara almost killed Matt Hardy in that match that went back to the parking lot. Jeff Hardy is Jeff Hardy, so let's get this match on the books as soon as we can in the biggest spot possible, which is Double or Nothing. Let's get Hardys versus the Bucks.
So you want to kill Jeff Hardy on this one?
We just need this before another Usos DUI. That's what we need.
Dude, why didn't you tweet that joke today, man? You put it on Friends of BFR. That shit was funny. That shit was fucking funny, man.
That's crazy.
All right, so we always talk for an hour and 5 minutes about AEW Dynamite. The shit's only 2 hours long. Let's get to that 3 count.
He's over here counting minutes.
So, couple things. Well, the podcast has already lasted an hour and 45 minutes, and nothing happened this week.
We broke 8.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just trying to keep it moving
I know,
as the quarterback
I know,
of the show.
I know. I apologize.
So
go ahead, TB12. I apologize.
There's a couple of. I prefer Kurt Warner. Thank you.
I apologize once again.
There was a couple of out of ring things that happened this week. One of them was very recently. We can cover that one real quick because we literally know nothing about it. But Stephanie McMahon said that she was taking a leave of absence from WWE. She said she had a tweet where she said, "It's been my life for the last 30 years."
Stop,
blah, blah,
stop.
blah.
No,
I mean,
you ain't
I
shit,
sound
dude.
exactly like
You ain't
Stephanie
shit.
McMahon.
You ain't shit. You ain't shit, man. Give that
You
woman
know what
her
I mean.
respect.
Okay, fine. Here's her respect. I'm saying that she's just taking. You can make fun of billionaires, man. It's okay.
I know. In this scenario, it's probably more about Triple H than anything else.
All right. What do you think, Zach?
I think Stephanie McMahon realizes that she is very, very rich, and she reprioritized her life whenever her husband almost died, and was like, you know what? I have young kids, and my dad never spent any time with me, and I'm rich as fuck, and I'm just going to spend some quality time with my kids over the summer, and I'm going to take them to fucking Disney World.
Ding, ding,
That
ding,
is-
ding, ding,
well-
ding, ding,
well-
ding, 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 ding.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of thought from one tweet.
Come on.
What
What is Stephanie going to do at this point?
She's
Is
going
she
to go to Cyprus and fuck some big dick tennis player. I don't know.
Renee
Is she going
Dupree?
to usurp?
Renee
Vince?
Dupree's got a hog.
She ain't going
hog.
As I say, that image just came in my head. That's just bad news bears. Sorry, Stephanie. She's not going to take over WWE. Her husband almost lost his life. I mean, what the fuck? You ain't got to work. You got basically all the money in the world.
Yeah, sure.
You ain't got to work. You don't have to work a day in your life ever again.
Ever again. They have generational
Honestly,
money.
what are these?
Go
what are
away.
these, like,
That's so
what are these like? What are these generational?
You're like, Stevie
wealth,
Wonder
like,
could play
people?
piano. It's like, yeah, no shit, they got generational money.
Okay, so what Stephanie wanted to do
Their
with
what do
great,
you-
great,
what are you
great, great,
doing
great,
working?
great grandkids don't have to work.
What does Stephanie
Yeah,
have
why,
to do?
What are you doing? I like, dude. If I had that much money, like, I ain't doing anything.
Okay.
I'm subscribing to World of Warcraft tomorrow.
Why? Because
That's what I'm doing.
If Vince knew that his great, 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 great granddaughters
Did you count that out?
that would still be living off of WWE money in the year 2300 or whatever, that they would be mostly black with black. Like, he doesn't know how the world's going to go. Like, your ancestors, your descendants,
I'm
your
gonna
descendants
take
are going to
this-
be mixed, Vince. You okay with that, dude?
Take your lighter.
He'd
I'm gonna
book
take
him
the
to
weed
win
back.
the women's tag team titles. That's what he'd do. He'd book him to win the women's tag titles. That's what
I'm dead, dude. I'm dead. That's great. I'm gonna say
I
this.
just say, I don't think the old men, when they talk about generational wealth, they're still thinking that their kids are going to be like fucking frat boys at Georgia or something. No, man, your kids are going to be mostly
Look, I get what you're
ethnic.
saying. I get what you're saying. Baby,
And
I saw
ethnic
Bronny.
includes black.
I saw Bronny.
I'm a half glass full type of guy.
I saw Bronny with his date on Instagram. Nice little white chick. You know, I see you, Bronny. I see you. This is 2022, okay? In 2300? Yeah, I expect us all to be a mix.
We have to delete the last 5 minutes, man.
No,
I don't think I can be on record saying that shit. That was terrible.
Oh, no, we are not. I go down with some bad takes. You going down with some bad takes.
All right, so can we get to the 3 count?
By all means.
1, 2, 3.
All right. For those of you still here listening, Ric Flair has decided to come out of retirement to have his retirement match. It's going to be in Nashville for Jim Crockett Productions.
Shocker.
What does Jim Crockett Productions mean in 2022? It's a thing?
I mean, it's just Conrad paying homage to history. That's all it is. It's not an actual. Jim Crockett died late last year.
All right.
So it's just,
So I have a, I think I have
shit.
I have a nuanced take on this, but maybe you guys have the same take. So, Jason, I'll let you go first.
As the biggest Ric Flair fan in the podcast, maybe in the Midwest, I don't want to see this match. Look, I like Ricky Steamboat. Dare I say I love Ricky Steamboat. He's probably
So it's supposed to be Ricky Steamboat and Rock and Roll against FTR and Flair, right? And
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat already said he's not doing it, though.
Perfect. Okay.
So
there you
replace
go.
him with Lethal.
No.
Why? The Lethal and Flair clearly love each other.
I get that. I get that.
All right, go
okay?
ahead. Go ahead. I'll stop interrupting you.
I don't want
Go
to
ahead.
see it. Ultimately, I don't want to see this. Okay?
Okay.
It is past the point where Ric Flair should be doing in-ring anything. Anything at this point. Okay? I've said it before where I like to see where certain moments just lie. When Michael Jordan hit his jumper over the Utah Jazz, Byron Russell, push off, maybe not, I'll let you make the call. When he hit that jumper, that to me was the point. I would never want to see him play another basketball game again.
He's heating up.
Now, at this point, you're now bringing back Ric Flair to me is the greatest of all time. There's nobody else different. Everybody's got their own list. You can pick your own list as Austin, Rock, blah, 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 blah. To me,
He's heating up.
Ric Flair is number one. There could be no other. So if you want to put him with Ricky Steamboat at this point, obviously Ricky Steamboat is not going to be a part of this match. I get that. But there is no reason in the world for Ric Flair to come out at this point. His legacy is set. He is going to be first ballot Hall of Famer anywhere he wants to go. NWA is a thing because of Ric Flair. When I started watching wrestling, it was because of Ric Flair. He is the greatest heel of all time. And I won't take anybody else on that list. I'll say that much. That's the only list that I would say there would be no argument about it. Ric Flair to me is the greatest heel of all time. You can't tell me anything different. Okay? Do I want to see him in the ring at this point? Fuck no.
All right, Zach, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's sad. Somebody tweeted what's your dream Ric Flair retirement match, and somebody retweeted and said Shawn Michaels in 2008.
Thank you.
That's accurate. That's what it is. Yeah.
That was 2008. So that was 14 years ago. So he was 59.
I watched that match one time.
That was 2008.
Yeah.
Listen, here. I'm going to say something that might sound controversial to you guys.
Ric Flair's banging 08.
I might say something that's a little controversial to you guys, but this is fine. It's a 6-man match. What's he going to do? He's going to do some chops. He's going to do some punches. He's going to do some kicks. He will do a figure 4. He might do the thing where he falls on his face, but he's 73. He's not fucking dead.
I'm not asking you to be dead.
We just saw Vince wrestle at 76. It's god awful.
No. Okay, all right. I was about to say, don't.
But if the man wants to make his money, and if FTR wants to wrestle with him, and if people want to see it, then put it on.
Who really? Are you going to pay money for this? There's the question. If you're going to be the advocate for this, are you going to pay money? No. Okay, thank you. Then shut the fuck up.
No, that's not even the point. The point's...
You ain't paying money for it.
That doesn't matter.
Yes, it is.
I think
because it totally makes the difference. Here advocating like Paul Heyman.
No. I'm saying it has the right to exist.
No.
Like everything has the right to exist. It doesn't mean I pay for it.
It has a right to exist. You should be the first motherfucking line paying for it. If you ain't, shut the fuck up.
A child. I have a child. She's so sweet and innocent.
Yeah. Don't put Enema in this. Okay, if you
really
want
to do in the match with Ric Flair.
Oh hell, not on my watch. You are not. Hell no.
I'll tell you what, he's gonna have a heart attack in the middle of the ring. She's just gonna crawl around for a while, and it's gonna be a draw.
Stop. You ain't shit, dude.
This match is gonna be fine. I don't know,
what?
It's gonna be fine. Don't watch it, but it. Everybody that's poo-pooing Ric Flair and being like, "Oh, he shouldn't do this. He's gonna get hurt. It's not your business. It's just not your business."
-3 stars.
Thank you. 2 Beer. You're the voice of reason on this podcast more times than not. Okay?
What?
Yeah. You and I are polar opposites.
Scary.
He's the gray area in this bad boy.
What?
No, I'm dead ass serious.
All right, that's gonna do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so I'm assuming everybody watched NXT, right?
Yeah, of course. That's what I do on Tuesday.
I was joking around.
I don't miss a minute.
Okay, talk about the NXT breakout tournament for the chicks.
It wasn't very good.
Okay, thank you.
There's only a few guys on there worth watching, and I'll name them right now.
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa.
Check.
Cameron Grimes.
Check.
Not Trick. Cameron Hayes.
Carmelo Hayes. Check.
Grayson Waller.
I like him as a heel. And
Santos?
Santos Escobar is he's just being misused. God bless him.
Andre Chase?
I like him as the character heel.
You like everybody. You like Duke
I like
Hudson?
him as the character. He's
him good too.
Place.
What about Braun Breaker?
He's probably going to be the next WWE champion in like 2 or 3 years.
He fucking rules. And we also had the Viking Raiders versus the Creeds.
Wop, wop, wop.
This is banned from ringside.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I will be fully up to date on BOSJ next week. We can parlay it till then. For the sake of brevity.
My thunder. That's what I was talking about.
I'll say through the first 2 nights, just a few thoughts. I hate Ace Austin.
Wow.
He's great. He's going to be a star. We're going to see a lot more of him in the future.
I kind of hate his hair. Like, I hate his look so much. I'll say Francesco Akira is a wild man. Francesco Akira fucking rules. Hiromu versus Taguchi was terrible. Like,
very terrible.
The worst Hiromu match, and it wasn't his fault. I'll also say Yuta versus Eagles was good. TJP fucking rules. And Despy versus Titan was okay.
I want to change my pick from ELP to TJP. He was that good.
He was fucking great,
He was
man.
that damn good, and it would make it still makes sense that TJP would win if he beats Ishimori. That's cool.
That Francesco Akira dude.
You need to apologize to that man because you were disrespecting him 2 weeks ago.
Are you saying Bill can actually tell the difference between ELP and TJP?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes. Oh, I definitely can. No, because ELP wears a mask. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm thinking of Phantasmo.
I was just getting ready to hit the band for ringside.
Or I'm thinking of Desperado. Wait, who are we talking about? Don't hit it.
Which white guys are we talking about?
Wait, who was I making fun of? Oh, Francesco Akira?
Yes.
Because the zits on his chest? Because he's 19?
He's 22.
Well, go away to an island until you get those zits off your chest. Nobody wants to see that, dude. It's gross.
He was just praising him like 30 seconds ago.
Hey, we got some birthdays this week.
You ain't shit, Francisco.
Andre the
Giant would have been 76 today.
Oh, he's taking my job.
Wow.
Go ahead. What's the next one?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's it.
Andre the Giant, 76. He shares a birthday with Aleister Black, or Malachi Black, who's 37. Kip Sabian is 30. Road Dogg, the aforementioned. I said he was Val Kilmer.
That's why you brought him up.
I said he was Val Kilmer on the Al Pacino. It was Heat, but it says head.
We need to get that.
God damn, that is so.
We need that poster up, head at the top, Pacino on one side,
just for like
with the
only 100 people in the world would get it. Like only 100 people in the world.
How old is Road Dogg?
He's 53.
Good.
His wrestling takes are at least that old. Yeah.
Stop.
Occam is 29. Chris Benoit.
Okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah, I was gonna let you guys put the joke in on that one.
I guess R.I.P. to him. R.I.P. to his family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real bummer.
Yeah.
We make jokes about it, but man, what a bummer. Yes. Just want everybody to dwell on what a bummer that is. Okay, he would have been 55. Kota Ibushi is 40.
Is he still with New Japan?
He's still with us.
Alive?
Yes. Yeah.
Better question.
R.I.P.
Right? Is
Brian
he still
Pillman.
alive?
This is a huge week for birthdays. Brian Pillman would have been 60. Daniel Bryan is 41. Joe Coffey is 39. Alex Shelley, who we saw the other week at Joey's show in Grand Ole Wrestling, is 39.
The world.
And as Jason would say, on the side of a milk box, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, is 35 this week.
You ain't shit. How you stealing my line, man?
Hey, everybody. I know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours. If you're looking for another podcast,
Married to a milk box.
if you're looking for another podcast to listen to, Sideways in Time with our friends Lucha Chris and Patriot Pat, for Tender Mahal,
Check.
for Murray the Murray Man Murray,
Check.
or a Lucha Chris, or
Whatever.
a Patriot Pat,
Whatever.
for
Check.
Reba the Dog, for
Check.
Two Beer Zach Pullman,
BFR Weston House. Check.
for Two Beer Zach Pullman's family, who had a big moment, for
Check.
Jason Cornelius Bell, for
Check.
I am Bill Vega, but the heels.
Boo! You fucked that all up.
I did.